So, hello everyone. I want to talk today about something that I know most developers don't think they care about when we talk about, hey, product adoption strategy and product market fit and all that kind of stuff. So, how many of you are developers here? All right. Well, thank you for coming because I know it's not a tech talk. However, how many of you developers kind of normally hate a lot of technology marketing? Right? So in the past, I've been in open source since 2005. I moved from the engineering department to the marketing department at the startup I was at after about 4 or 5 years at that company, and I discovered in the marketing department that you have a bunch of really smart, passionate people like us over in development, but they care about totally different things. They don't speak our language, we don't speak their language, and I got the chance for several years to be the crossover person at the company between engineering and marketing. And I saw a lot of technology marketing done wrong, and I saw a lot of technology sales done wrong, and I saw people sell AWS hosting instances that didn't exist, and features that were on a roadmap maybe, and I've been through absolutely all of that. So this is part of the origin story for, and I said I didn't want the clicker, and now, there we go. So that's a lot of the origin story for the company that I started in 2017 with my business partner. We are here to make great marketing content and communications about your complex technologies. We have a team of technologists and communicators who speak business and dev, so we're able to work with our clients in open source agencies and so on to make hopefully great technology marketing that's respectful to the technical users and comprehensible to the business people who hold the budget that we need. You know, the money, it's hard for us. So we're there to translate between you and the CMO of a lot of organizations. That's what we do. We come out of open source. We're really passionate about sharing what we do. So on our website, we've got a lot of templates. We do workshops. If there's anything that you or your colleagues want to do better with your marketing, I'm super happy to talk with you, super happy to share. That's why we're here. So I come out of open source. And my business partner comes out of business. She has an MBA and management experience and actual structure and education and stuff. I've had 2,000 beers with developers and hopefully like another 1,000 with agency owners. So, and I wave my hands. She's a smart one. I'm the pretty one who gets to go on the road. What we don't do, I don't know if you can see this, we do not do bullshit bingo, yeah? So that's one of the things that we don't like about a lot of classic technology marketing is using whatever word is this year. Obviously this year's word is AI enhanced. Last year's word might have been NFT or something. Whatever it is, that's not the business we're in. What I'm passionate about sharing, what I'm passionate about doing, why we give away a lot of our we open source how we work, because it's right. I believe in creating communications and content for the work that we do as open source practitioners, as technologists, that's interesting to read and is technically accurate. Sounds simple, right? And we say we need to be clear, we need to apply empathy, and if we do that, it builds trust. Very, very briefly, what I'm talking about is empathy means if you're not technical or, my company, we write expert content about technologies that we're not experts in because we go and we ask the subject matter expert. We talk with the developer, we ask more questions until we understand. We write stuff, they're not usually writers, we're writers, we let them read it. We quote them, and all of a sudden, everybody's happy. It's not complicated, but we put in the effort. We use developer language and developer terminology when we're writing for developers, and we use business language and business terminology when we're writing for the business people and budget owners. And I'm going to show you how we connect that. So, we use appropriate language, we use the truth, we're clear both in the presentation of what we do and what is true and what is not true, and that builds trust, right? And trust is the best way to get happy adopters, users, customers, whatever you're after. This little ladder is not mine. It comes from a guy called Lou, and but it's very, very it's easy to understand. You become aware that you need to solve a problem. You look around. You hear about 2 or 3 ways to solve it. You do some more research. You try some things. You see if it fits your needs, and you decide to buy it or adopt it or keep looking. No problem. All of that really needs to be supported with content, and one of the mistakes that I've made and lots of us have made in technology is we've built something, right? And then it's obvious how great it is, and it's obvious that it makes our day better and it solves a need. But as developers, right, we're very likely to publish a feature list, and it's hard for someone who doesn't have your expertise to understand what they can get out of it, right? So that bridge is really important. So you need to communicate about it, and one of the things that we say is, if you have a whole team working on something, in a company you'll have a product owner and you'll have a designer, and you might have a UX team, and you have different developers, maybe front end and back end if it's for the web, and you've got a sales team and you've got whatever, and everybody is supposedly working on the same thing and using the same thing and promoting the same thing, but they're seeing and touching different bits of it, right? And there's the old paradigm about the blind people touching the different pieces of the elephant, right? And having completely different ideas. So what we need to do is we need to come together across all of our different roles and share what we know about it so that everybody can be on the same page and tell the technical truth in an interesting way, right? Classic marketing, right? Positioning. This is marketing talk, I'm sorry. Positioning means nothing more than this is a thing that does a thing for somebody, right? It is a product category that benefits this kind of person in this way. Marketers, and I've been through this exercise, you'll get teams who will charge real money to come into your company, and they'll be like, I think you're a thing that does this thing, and we're like, nope. Well, blue, green, purple, and they'll just sort of throw buzzwords and bullshit bingo at you until it trickles down and everybody's so tired that they give up and they say, yes, 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 that's what it is. This is not a good way to do your positioning. As I mentioned, marketers love their bullshit bingo card. If we leave it to us and a room full of developers, we're going to get a list of features, right? And think, and to you built it, you had the idea. It's perfectly obvious what the sum of all that is, but for a business user, for someone who's not familiar with the interplay of technology, if you say, well, we support UTF-8 characters, and obviously WebP images, and we have the CK editor configured so that we're doing spell checking and contemporaneous editing, they'll be like, what, right? Adobe solves this by saying, we have business-friendly authoring, right? So you need to make the connection between the features and what people get out of them. So, unified, fact-based positioning. Start with a strong, clear, consensus-based technical foundation. Great. How do we do this? Now, we start by, and you can start by, simply collecting everything that your product or service does. Every feature. As I said, maybe it's a CMS, and you have UTF-8, and you have drag and drop page building, and you have whatever. You collect all of those features. If it's a partner program, if it's a non-technical, this still applies, right? If this membership level gets these benefits, those are all features. Same concept. So you collect those features, You need to talk with at least representatives of every role, because we've discovered that if you actually sit down with the salespeople and exchange things, they'll tell you what people are excited about when they're talking. You'll tell them what's actually going on. In the end, collecting these features together, you start to build a unified view of what's going on. So the features have a very simple concept, what it is, what it does, and kind of how that contributes to the whole. The next thing you do is you group those into these logical functional groups. We sometimes call these feature areas, but that's not important. So you can imagine all of these authoring things that I've been talking about, grouping together into a feature area, a logical functional cluster of functionality that is then called authoring experience, or business-friendly authoring, right? We give it a tagline, business-friendly authoring is a good one, and we give it a value case, and a value case is also a very simple concept. It is simply the benefit of using this thing, the challenge that it addresses, and how our technology solves it. So, the benefit of having business-friendly authoring is that you can have an intuitive interface where all of your content editors and the team who lives in your website every day can create multilingual content with pretty pictures and so on, right? And the challenge is some systems have made this really hard, or didn't have spell checking, or whatever it was that you're facing, and we solve that by integrating all of these things plus CK Editor into our system. So this cluster with this value case, if anyone's familiar with how case studies are put together, the value case is kind of the case study formula turned on its head. Logical functional groupings can themselves be grouped in, so effectively they're larger groups of features, but authoring experience and social media integration and digital asset management and so on could be grouped into a, it's called a category here, it doesn't matter, it's just another grouping. That could be called digital marketing enablement. It could get a clever tagline, I can't think of one right now, and the combined functionality also gets a value case of what you get out of using that thing, the challenges that it addresses, and so on. And you start to get this collection of information that everybody's read, everybody's agreed to, and concepts of what's going on in your product. Now, you take that one level higher, it's kind of like taking a big pot of water or broth and boiling it and boiling it and boiling it, and it's getting more and more concentrated, right? So anything above everything is, going upwards, you're getting the combined and distilled information of the stuff below it. So then we get to the classic marketing stuff. You get solution statements. These are USPs, things that you'd be putting on your website, a product positioning statement, a product tagline, and so on. And you get all of this stuff, right? And from the marketing and communications position, because we've collected it from your clients, from your different teams and so on, we start to feel comfortable, and everybody's approved it and everybody's kind of fought out the details. We start to get comfortable. We have a picture of what we're for and what we're about, right? And it gets really fun really fast. I'm not sure I have the right slide for this, but let me just say it. I think it's clear or intuitive to see that any given feature or any given cluster in there is an opportunity to do marketing and communications, right? So we have this as a data structure, and any one of those nodes, green and below, we can start to say, does it have a blog? Does it have a tutorial? Does it have a YouTube video? Does it have a podcast? What version is it? And when you increment, when you update something, if you have a version tag on it, the content that you flagged with the old version, you can get a signal to check it. Oh, hey, everything's been updated. Go make sure these 17 things are okay, or fix what needs fixing, for example, right? You can also use this to compare with competing products. But there's one more layer here, and there's one more paradigm that I want to get into, and we're super good in time this time. Yeah. So, is that reasonably clear so far and sound reasonably it's making some kind of sense? Yes, okay. One person's willing to talk with me, but thank you. So we have all of this. Who's familiar with the data, information, knowledge, wisdom pyramid? You are, Hans is, you are sort of, yeah. I think this is a really cool concept. You see a lot of cool web comics about it with fun diagrams, and we came up with this system from first principles. When I say we, I mean my business partner. Her idea, we've made it better since 2017, but she's a genius. And she held all of this in her head, and we've turned it into methodologies and so on that we use, and like I said, use this, it's awesome. What she did is she came up from first principles and what we needed. She came up with a practical application of the DIKW pyramid. So I want to talk about that just for a couple minutes because I find it terribly, terribly interesting as a communicator and as a technologist, right? So data, we collect data. These are features. And we collect all of these things, and there are, better and worse ways to collect it. We put that data into context. We say, hey, logically, these things belong together because they contribute to similar things as they go up. You could call those functionalities rather than features if you wanted to, but we start, so data given context becomes information in this pyramid. Then we keep going and we apply your expertise and your knowledge of your customers and your product and your ambitions, our expertise as thinkers, communicators, having done this before, all of our experience and expertise, we come together to say that we boil up the information to become knowledge, right? And the knowledge are essentially directly usable bits of communication. So starting at the there are humans involved in all this. We collect data, we give it context, we boil it down into these useful things. Now, there's one more layer on the pyramid, and we call this the value map at OSP, at my company. So what about wisdom? Now it turns out that in the DIKW paradigm, they call the first three levels, they talk about how they're from the past, right? The information exists, the features are there, putting the context together, putting your experience on it, all of that is kind of pouring in from things that we already knew. Maybe we didn't know all of it, that's why we want to put it together in a unified single source of truth, right? But all of that comes from the past. And the DIKW framework talks about the future. And the future is really interesting, right? Because our future ambition is, how do we sell this better? How do we get more adoption? How do we get more users? How do we know what to talk about, what to write about? What's the most important thing to sell, right? So the wisdom state helps us make decisions, answer questions, establish priorities, update our roadmap. I could continue to read, but you can also read the slide. So what we do, once we have this in place, we have some more conversations. What's the newest, hottest thing that you guys have this year that you really want to sell this year? Well, it's that position in the thing. Okay, so we're prioritizing that. And what's the next most important thing, and what's the thing that always everyone asks, right? So you can make a prioritized list of these functionalities, and that helps you establish how you're going to market it, right? You can make a comparison with the competition, and you can see, hey, our competition is really, really good at these two things that we're not so good at. That goes right at the bottom of our marketing priority list, but it goes to the top of our list when we have sales scripts and coaching to, come up with arguments, right? How we avoid that point or how we solve it in a different way. Even more interesting is that if we had that information, not only could we make those two decisions, but we could also decide to add whatever it is to our product roadmap, right? So I feel that this really, really is some level of wisdom, because we can start to really make informed decisions about what we've been doing together. Another couple of things that I find important and interesting about this structure is We as technologists, we care about the details, we care about the APIs, we care about the implementations. Those are all down at the feature level and up in the clusters, right? So when we create content or campaigns or ideas for technical audiences, we know that developers are very important for making software purchasing and adoption decisions. We write content that gives you the cool, interesting, like informs you that this is cool and interesting and well implemented, but we give you arguments that go up about the business value of using that. So you become an influencer in your company and you can talk to a business person or a budget holder and you can say, hey, I want to use this thing because it looks super fun and cool. And if we do and it goes right, we, the company, we're going to get all of these business benefits, right? So when we write content in the upwards perspective, we're talking two things. We're talking delivery of business value, and we're talking why we invest in these things, why we spend time, why we build them. And any given feature should be in n number of clusters and go through the invisible inverted pyramid above. RDF triplets, are we familiar with RDF triplets enough? No? Nice. So, another talk, but user stories. I am a scheduling manager of a golf course, and I need to be able to coordinate the time of people so that they don't whack balls into each other's head. That's a business question. It's a business requirement. Does your technology solve this, yes or no? So, business content goes from the top down, and it is how does your technology solve my problem? And it's based on technical truth. No sales nonsense, right? Technical truth is at the bottom of everything. No matter how much due diligence you do, the truth is at the bottom of it. And when you go, and if you go from the bottom to the top instead of how, it's why do you do it, and that's that value. And if you have a feature that doesn't link into any business case, you could make the decision to stop investing in developing it if it's not for any use case that any customer or any salesperson or anything recognizes, right? So you can make really, really smart decisions with this information in place. Now, back to creating content. You have these concepts of feature areas and features and so on, and you have to write. We use templates to plan our content when we're doing it. What it's about, what your company is about, who the target audience is, what their challenges are, business goals, and so on. Do that before you start writing, because then it's much, much easier to write. How does the value map help you do this? Well, the value map has these things, right? Feature areas and features can also be associated with personas and challenges. By the way, there's lots of data that you can link onto these, right? And if you have that information, then it lets you simply say, these are our top 3 marketing priorities. We don't have enough content about these features. Here's the value cases. Here's the individual features. Boom, 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 boom. Goes into our thing. All that information is agreed upon and true and done before you ever need to start writing. It's awesome. It's a huge help. Now, look at this in practice. Here's a website where we did this kind of consulting for the client. And this is very, very straightforward. These are units of communication. I've talked about some of them. I think it's quite clear what they are, right? So you have those in the value map. And you pull them out. We did the work. They're based on technical truth. So, supporting materials, sales materials, scripts, videos, tutorials, it doesn't matter. It's all, if it's coming from the same place, we're all on the same page, we're all going to write the same stuff. And it's really, really helpful to us. Same goes for, our content is highly, highly structured. You have a benefit, you have a challenge, you have a solution, like I've been talking about the whole time. And those are the features, right? So this is directly translated from the value map, polished up, given context, whatever, but it makes the whole writing part much easier. So, please use this power for good. You can do this to create public-facing marketing messaging, factual sales materials, hooray, technical communications, as I said, tutorials and so on, everything in alignment, everything in according to business priorities and technical truth. We find that this fact-based reality, right, the technical truth, helps salespeople talk less of that, right, and create content that really supports this journey that I was talking about before. That's a big advantage. It also lets other people understand quicker whether their problems and your solutions align, so they can self-qualify faster, making it easier for them to adopt it or download it or buy it, and let them understand what you're offering early so that nobody's disappointed, right? And you have this world where everybody knows, everybody understands where the thing is going together, and everybody's agreed on that, and you can work on it together, and it's a super powerful set of, I hear unsiloed technical truth available to everyone, but you have this single source, canonical source of the information about your product or service. So, thank you very much. Do you have any questions? I have 3 minutes this time. Yes. Oh, microphone, okay. And if you don't have questions, I have more slides.
2 questions. First one is real quick. Do you intend to publish the slides at some point?
Yes, and if you want them, you can just ping me and I'll send you a set directly. I'm definitely, this parallel between our value map and the DIKW pyramid is a realization I've come to relatively recently, and I'm working on, this is the first time I'm talking about it in public, and I'm working on the written materials too, but super happy to send you whatever you want.
Whatever, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it will be on the video for sure, so
yep.
I just want to study specific slides.
Absolutely.
At home with a cup of tea,
Wait. Me.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
I'm the middle one.
Then the second question is a bit bigger. Because of the way you structured your talk in the beginning, you were talking about developers working on some features, being proud of the products, whatnot, and it kind of sent me thinking. There's this whole community online. They call themselves like indie hackers. That individuals try to build businesses on top of a small niche, very very niche products that they kind of. So the question to you is what is the minimum size companies that you work on and with, and that you provide services to? Do you work with individuals, or is it typically
I mean, we have worked with a company of two in Germany, 2 everywhere else. Yeah, and why not? Of course. And now I have a team. I'm very proud that we do this, that we help my open source peers and friends do better business, communicate better. I love it. And like I said, we're giving away materials, techniques, and happy to also just do that way. I'm also proud that I'm responsible for a team of people and I help them pay their rent. So our work costs something, but
obviously. Of course, it's just that the marketing is the biggest topic in that community, because everyone likes to write the code and be proud of what they did. It's super fast, how fancy it is. But the marketing is a huge topic there, and people talk about it every day on those forums.
Okay, I would love it now or in some chat somewhere. I'd love to talk more about that, because if I could write a blog series or template or something that would specifically help there and it relates to our bigger mission, I would love to do that. Absolutely.
I'll reach out after.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Five seconds. Here, look, I'll tell you one more cool thing. When I said we think about empathy, it takes many, many different forms, right? But just think about this one thing. When I'm talking with marketers, I have to talk about competitive analysis and audience segmentation and all this stuff. And when I started working with my business partner, she talked only in this language, and I was like, blah, 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 right? We write like that for business people, but when we write for you, are you solving a problem that people care about? who should know about what you're doing, who else is doing it, how are you solving it better than they are, right? Does that language resonate better with you? I think so, right? Yeah. They're the same, they're the identical concepts, right? So this is what I'm talking about, using empathy in your communications to get so that people are open to listen to. And thank you. I'm so happy to be at this event, and thanks again for your excellent time monitoring. And I will be here all day today and at the event, but not tomorrow. So yeah, happy to talk with you later.